I've just seen a little bit that I want to change. Just need to make that come up a bit more like so. And then there's a little one there. And this shape is slightly different to how I've got it. More like so. Take off the excess underneath. Now I'm getting somewhere near now. So I've got a filbert brush, and with the filbert I'm just going to pick up some of that liquid white from in there, and then just up where this third ridge is here, I want snow up the edge of it, so I'm going to use that and go up. See that? I want to separate that from that, see, so then I can pull gently down to this colour. I wants to mix with the liquid white slightly. Does this? This is in the background, just like this. So and you can actually blend that out. Sit all that lot in the background, then far away, and this is a lot closer. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get some of that dark colour on the same brush, and then just in here where this is, I'm just going to indicate for myself that I know that it's darker. So I'm going to come along, and then it's going to come down to there, somewhere near that. There. That's predominantly darker, and pushed all that back just to give myself an idea. Is that now we've got a really strong rock all the way in here. Now I'm going to go out into the dark mix that I put the brown in, and with that you want to do this very foreground area in here. You actually pull down with that as well. Very dark though, very dark. And then below it we're going to have a glacier, coming through there. That's it. We'll just change top of that slightly. So you can change it with the brush as well as the knife. That's how I wanted it. Better. Now, keeping that dark again in there. Now, I'm just looking at the side, and I think that actually has a bit of something just going on in there. Yeah. Better. You can keep tweaking them all the time, the shapes of your mountains, if you don't have them exactly how you want them. Now, in here I just want it like so, allow it to mix with the liquid white, and then blend that into it from the top down. Just good and dark to start with. Now it actually goes that way, that side. So use these brush strokes to give you an indication, basically, a basic indication, and it flattens down the paint so it's easy to go back over with the white. Beautiful mountains. Now we need to get the good dark colour again, and as I said, this actually comes down here, creates a separation between this one and that one. It just like slightly goes out just about there. There. See? And then you can paint behind that. I'm going to leave some little gaps where the snow comes on there. Don't want it a straight line is what I'm saying. Just leave it something about like that. I'm just going to mix a highlight colour for the rocks. So first of all I'm going to grab some titanium white, half decent amount of titanium white. Then I'm going to get some raw sienna, small amount of raw sienna, Mars red, bit of burnt sienna, and a bit of dark sienna. All the browns basically. And I might even just put a little bit of crimson in with that as well. I'm just going to check that out, see what that turns out like with the white. Now I need a bit of Van Dyke brown in that, so I'm just getting some Van Dyke brown into that same colour. There, that's spot on what I was after. Might get a tiny bit more raw sienna. See how that looks? Yes. Now I'm going to have some more white, and then just there I'm going to put a pile separate that's lighter intentionally for the highlighted side. Just there. Tiny bit more dark into that, I think. There. So dark, light. A lot depends on how you apply it, but I keep it marbled. You see that? Both sides I've got a marbled mix. Right, clean off the knife. Never put your knife down with a lot of paint on it, it just gets everywhere. Being organised is just as important as actually painting. It helps your painting so much. Now I'm just going to use a filbert, just a clean filbert brush. And I'm going to go in and load both sides of the filbert with that light highlight tone. Both sides. It's going to be sharp like a chiselled edge. I'm going to put it down for this part because I need to have control. So I'll probably rest my arm on there. I'm just going to come up in here and indicate some of this highlight colour on these rocks. But it's starting at the top, and I'm just pulling down basically, just pulling straight down with that colour. Putting some of that highlight tone in there. You will pick up a bit of the blue as you do this, so I reload again regular, and then you can like go back in and put some nice highlight on there. It's good though because you want it to actually mix with the shadows slightly as well, so it's not too overpowering and bright. Put a bit of that just going down into there. Reload your brush as regular as possible. Just up there we've got some. But don't kill all your dark shadows, leave some of them shadows in. And then you can like put one area through in front of another. And leave back part of that dark and just put a little highlight on that. Now this one here wants the highlight on it. And you can just pull down with that. Again. You can actually tap it off on your palette if you pick up too much of that dark. And see how you can just touch sometimes with the brush. Just let it take off what it wants. And what you're left with is just enough. Now I want to pull that on through slightly. See that? So now you've got a shadow behind. Hope that stands out. It's all about playing dark against light and light against dark. Now this one actually comes right through there even. So I'm going to put a bit of that colour all the way through there and then blend behind slightly. There. Get some more colour. Nice fresh load, and I want that to come up into there and then I want some snow creeping right up the side of this. So I just want a little bit of this highlighting. I don't want to go in that area. I want to stay clear of that area, so I can put some lovely snow on and it won't go muddy with the brown. There. That's looking pretty much like what I wanted. Again, reload, sharp, both edges, and then just back in here I'm going to put a few highlights and indications and stuff going on back in there. Again, leaving the shadows on the right if you can. Don't want to kill them shadows on the right. Just touching into that helps to defuse it. Just right up in there. Some bits of snow going on up in there as well, so I'll leave the blue in between for that. Smart. Same up in here. Now as you get further away from you, you get lesser. You don't see colour on this side because the light's coming from right to left, so this side is pretty much dark. I'm just going to put a few little indications of highlights on this side, just in there, and actually separate it off from them that are going to be way back in the shadows. A few indications of stuff going on in there. Leave some bits brighter, some bits darker. Now a good thing to do is to actually go back into that again and then just pick out certain spots that you believe would be a bit brighter and have a bit more colour on. Like in there, and you can just tap and pull. Tap it and pull it. Create depth by doing this. Great depth. Even this far away you can still get depth. You've got all those lovely blue tones further away that are lighter. You remember we mixed it lighter, and then you've got these lovely darks in the foreground. Now maybe just the slight tiniest indication of some brown on there, but I'm going to make sure that I mix it in with the blue so it's hardly noticeable. So like now I'm picking up the colour, the blue. I'll go back into that and change it. You can even just go back with a brush with the dark on it and just that's it. So that's a bit more subtle in background then. Smart. Happy with that. Now for these back ones I'm going to just get a tiny a little fan brush, small one. And I'm going to actually go through just straight titanium white, a lot of paint, both sides, see that? Load it to a sharp chiselled edge, just pull through the paint. Right, and with that, up in here we've got the snow actually going up to the top of the mountain there, see that? So I'm just putting a little glacial area in there. Again, fresh load of paint, and then we've got a few little bits that come up there. Got a bigger one that goes in just there. It's about there. And you'll notice it'll get a shadow just up there as it goes into the dark colour, and that's exactly what I'm after. I want it white there for the glacier, and then as you go up it'll slightly mix with the dark blue just there. Keep wiping your brush off and keeping it clean. Actually go back in sometimes and just pull down, but that didn't work, so I'm going to do it the other way. Straight up that glacier. There. That's the one. so it seems to be working easier going up than down with this. Now this is a big one, and it actually comes in here and then it changes its course, it changes the angle. It actually comes up to there and then goes right in there and go right through. Pretend that's not even there. Just totally pretend it's not there. And then behind that you can just put some titanium white in, because that's a glacier area. See, that shadow will help that you left in there. It'll really help get some depth. This is just with a fan brush at the moment. Cool. Now I just want to use the fan brush as well, and I want to get just back up in here. I'm going to touch a few little white areas. See that? Just up in there. Not too much. Sparsely. A few on tops at rocks. Turn your brush over when you run out of paint. Reload. And then there's one just on the top of a rock, just there. Little one. Side of that's got some. There. It's smart. I love doing these. I really enjoy it. You can even just tap with the white. Just tap and it'll create some snow on top of that ridge. And then I've actually got a bit of something up there as well. You have to keep cleaning your brush off though, every time, because what happens is your brown will mix into your white, and that's something we're trying to avoid. Just up in there we've got a few bits going on, a few bits and bobs of stuff going on in there. That's it. Even up in there, got a few little bits of white going on. Really enjoying doing this for you all. And even up in there you can tap a tiny bit here and there. There's always something going on in them rocks. Now I'm going to go back to my fill bit and just get some dark. The dark colour that we use for this, and just up in here I'm just going to, in fact I can get a majority of it there, and then just go up in there and it'll mix with the white slightly, just give a few little darker tones as well as there. I just got a tiny bit more white than I wanted back in that background, that's all, so you see how easy it is to get it back again. I'm happy. Just going that same dark with the Van Dyke brown to it, a bit more Van Dyke than anything than we had before, and then this part comes down and we've got a nice little bump just there. That's it. Very good. A nice little bump going on, and then that actually comes down and a bit further down than the other. So then I'll blend behind it, and then where this comes down here actually becomes part of this one. So then we've got another layer that comes from here and then goes down. So I'm just going to actually use that and pull that down there, and then we'll have the glacier coming underneath. Smart. I'm happy with the background there anyway now. You can also just here and there just go in and allow a bit of that dark just to go in there. So there's a few rocks, a few little boulders and stuff that are just sticking out. You always get them. few little rocks still peeking out of the snow there. That's it. See them up in there. And also put a few darks back into that if you want. Just on that one because it's getting a bit closer to us there. Still don't kill all the highlights you put in. Just a tiny. Now I did this after I'd used the black, so it's only putting a small amount on there. See. Okay. Right, so the basic notion now, we want to highlight all these wonderful rocks in here. Just going to grab my knife and with that same light colour that we've got there, get it in a pile. Cut across, get a ridge of paint on the knife, and then just up in here, I have to do it this way, because I'm right-handed. I'm just going to actually apply some of that little highlight up into that, just on that edge. Very delicate because I don't want to go over the edge. Got a bit of flu today, so as you can probably tell my breathing. And you can actually use the filbert again. I might even use the filbert for it all. Let's try it. Just let that go gently over. A bit up in there. And then right over that. Let it tick off what it wants. And leave it with the rest. Right down that edge, and a little bit in there as well. Now you will pick up the dark, but that's not a bad thing. Just means you can go back in there, gently pull down again, and it'll be slightly darker, which is good. That's what we're wanting. Now I can actually pull a bit of that from up there. And then pull it through about there. Same at that side. Don't kill all your darks, leave a lot of shadows in there. I've used it, I'm using the flat of the brush. See how flat I'm holding it to the canvas? Extremely flat. And I'm just using the corner there. And then the flat of the brush, and then like I say, don't kill all the shadows, leave the darks in there and then put highlights around them. That's it, something like that. If you want to get a fresh load, that's fine, tap it out on a paper towel, fresh load of paint, and then with that can come in and highlight certain areas a tad more. Maybe a bit of something coming down there at that angle. A bit brighter is that part, just in there. Same up in there, a bit brighter. See, we'll leave the dark ones underneath though, the shadowed ones. And that's exactly what we're chasing. Right. So this is a one that comes from there. Right through, so just remember that one that we did? There. And then behind it, I just want to pull that same colour, but this one needs to be darker. So I'm going to be careful, because as I go into the shadows, it gets darker, and these are the brighter ones. So I'm just going to put a bright tone on the edge of this one. It has to be quite bright, this. so that it stands out from the shadow, which will be directly behind. Again, don't kill all that dark, leave some of it showing through, just here and there. That's it. And it'll take off what it wants and leave you some lovely dark shadows in front of that. Now, it actually comes that way and then down again. So I'm just marking it out for myself there, clean off the brush, fresh load of paint, and then just there I can allow that to come down. In fact, hold the brush more like so. There. Much more paint. A bit more white with it. Just brighten it up slightly. And that's going right down through there. That's it. Angles play a big part when you're doing this. If you can get the right angles, it'll work. And if you can't, you'll really struggle. Just keep twisting your arm for each angle. It's fine, it's cool. And then it wouldn't just predominantly coming through there. A few more brighter highlights. Just in that spot and up here. See that? Loads more paint. Just in there. I can come back into this and just keep playing with it. I always do. And again, leave a shadow behind. Now all this back here needs to be darker. There's a bit on the top that's still quite light. Just there. And then that comes down like so. There. That's better. Better shape now, that one. Happy with that. Right, so this wants to be a lot darker down in here, so I'm just going to put my knife down for the moment, and I'm going to now use this darker colour which I mixed. Might even put a bit of Van Dyke brown into that, a bit more dark Van Dyke brown. See? A nice dark marble mix, but I've got a lot of paint on the brush. Now for this shadowed side of this mountain, I'm just going to pull down and let it grab what it wants. I want to leave quite a bit of dark in areas as well. Push down this shadow side. Again, you're going to pick up the dark colour, which is fine. Just got to make sure that you blend it downwards and reload again with fresh paint every time. Darker colour on that side. And then this actually comes right through here and leaves a dark shadow behind it. So just touch with some of that colour and then blend as well. Now that's coming down there. Leave some nice darks down in that spot in there. Maybe just a little bit of something going on in that.